Hello everyone, and welcome to the first of 3 loot runs that will allow you to go from a freshie to a fully geared. This first loot run will require you to spawn in anywhere in this rectangle here. Once you spawn in, you will need to head towards the prison. You can loot your starting town, but you usually won't need the survival essentials until after you've looted the prison. Once you've arrived at the prison, you'll need to be mindful of players, as the prison is a high traffic area for players to be at. Also be mindful of the zombies, as there is a fair amount of them in the area. The main building you want to loot is this building here. This will usually have a fair number of guns and ammo. Unfortunately for me this time, it didn't have too many guns and only had ammo. The next location will be the survivor camp. The survivor camp has some decent guns and ammo, but will usually have the survivor or two. On the way, I decided to meet up with my friend who had already had some guns from a previous playthrough to help me with this journey, which I needed as he heard some gunshots from the camp. After he gave me some guns, we headed to the camp and spotted the 2 players who had been shooting. These players had already looted the camp, therefore we didn't need to loot it. But some things you can loot here are the multiple stashes scattered around the camp, as well as this military vehicle which can spawn military weapons. After leaving the survivor camp, you will have the option of going to the nearby town of Redfield. Redfield is optional and depends on your guns and how much ammo you have. If you have something like an AR-15, Remington 700, or even an SMG like an UMP or an Uzi with a full mag, then you can skip it and go to the next location. Ultimately, we decided to quickly loot Redfield for some ammo as we didn't have too much. Redfield can have a fair number of players, so be mindful when you come here. The main thing to loot here is the hospital, which has tents for you to loot. There are also apartment buildings that have food, ammo, clothes, and medical supplies for you to loot. The next location will be the Airfield. The Airfield is a high risk, high reward area that has a lot of high tier military loot, such as armor and military guns, but also has a high zombie population, and has a lot of players passing through the area. When you first arrive at the Airfield, the main attraction will be the ATC building. Clear this of players before you loot it, as players like to camp this building, especially at the top. The airfield also has military barracks, which contain ammo, military guns, and military clothing. There will also be military hangars, which house caches that you can loot for more guns and ammo. Your loot run can end here, seeing as by this point you would have armor and helmets that give 2 times armor, and you have some sort of automatic weapon, like an assault rifle, or even a submachine gun, as well as some sort of long-range rifle, like a Remington 700. But you may be seeking a full NBC suit to access the nuclear power plant, or maybe even be looking for the black floppy disk to access the bomb shelter. This next part is optional but won't be necessary, but it is advised you do this. The next location you can go to is the quarry. The quarry can have ammo, military clothing, and guns, but that's not what we're here for. The quarry has NBC zombies that spawn at the bottom of the pit. These zombies can drop gas masks, NBC suits, and NBC pants, which you'll need for any gas zones you decide to explore. While you're going for a full NBC suit, you also have a chance of getting the blue and black floppy disks. Both floppy disks have a 1 in 1,000 chance of spawning from a regular military zombie, while the black floppy disk has a guaranteed chance of spawning upon killing a tactical zombie, which also has a small chance of spawning. The quarry is the best place to find this item, since it has a zombie population just like the airfield, but has less players passing through the area. Fortunately, while we're grinding for 2 full NBC suits, a tactical zombie did spawn, therefore we were able to go to the bomb shelter. In order to open the bomb shelter, you will need biofuel and a black floppy disk. Once you arrive, go inside and place the fuel in the generator. Then a laptop will power up. After the laptop powers up, search the server and place the floppy disk into the open slot. Then, after a few seconds, the bomb shelter hatch will open, and you'll be able to loot the shelter. The shelter has some of the best loot, with there being high-grade military guns such as the Barrett and the M4A1, as well as plentiful amounts of ammo, military clothing, food, and other military supplies. This loot run can provide you with the necessary supplies to accelerate yourself straight into the endgame, but there can be instances where this loot run might not be so great. For example, if there are players camping the airfield and it's extremely difficult to get loot there, skip it and come back later when the players have left. But overall, you'll be able to get full military gear by the time you finish looting the airfield, and maybe even be lucky enough to get the black floppy disk just like we did. Stay tuned for next time. for when we do the second loot run, so you have a better understanding of the map and be able to get loot faster when you spawn in on the complete opposite side of the map.